Okay, so what my session is going to be talking about and focusing on is on element linking. And this is a really cool functionality within Web Intelligence. It's been available for quite a while, but I wanted to show you some interesting ways to use it that you may not have thought about using before. We especially like to use it when we're developing reports that perhaps we want to have a more dashboardy look. Because there's some cool things that you can do with it. So let me first get started by showing you the basics of report element linking. So what I have here is multiple blocks in my report tab here. I have a summary level here, some more detail, a chart, which is basically the same information in a bar chart, and then further detail information on that, which kind of normally I would put below this, but just so we can see data changing, I put it on the side. So I'm going to start by setting up element linking on my chart at the top here, my table, my summary table. So all we have to do for that is to right click and select linking and add element link. Then it asks what you want to apply that on, either all objects or on a specific object. In this case, we only have one dimension in here, so it doesn't matter which you choose. You could leave it with the all. I'll click next. This is where I could give it a name if I wanted to, and I'll show you why you might want to give it a name here in a minute. I'll click on next, and then on this screen, it's asking, where do you want this to be applied? So element linking is a filter, and we're going to filter some data with this information. And so we have the option of applying it to one or more blocks within our report. And we have the option of filtering the entire report. Usually, I would never do that option because it ends up filtering the object that ends up filtering your filter as well. Which is not handy. So I'm going to select the objects that I want to filter. And in this case, I'm going to select my revenue by stage table, my detail table, and my chart as well. I'll click finish. All right, so now if I click on services here in the table, you'll see this reduced and is just showing services. My detail table is also showing only services. It's hard to tell, but the numbers were reduced to only show stages for the services segment. Okay, so let me show you in the input controls, since that element link is actually a filter, it shows up as a filter over here in your input controls. And this is where that name comes in. So that block 2 on here is showing up in here. So I could clear the filter in multiple ways. I could clear it in this input control box and say clear filters, and now I get both segments back in all of my data blocks. I could, let me filter again. And now I filtered for products, and I could reset my data with this little, I have to right click on this little icon that is created anytime you created an element link and select reset. Neither one. Yes?
Really quick, could you confirm what service pack of 4.2 this is?
This particular environment is 4.2 SP7, I believe. But element linking has been available for a long time, and I will have to look up which, it might have even been there in 4.1. It's been around for quite a while. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Uh-huh. All right. Neither one of these reset options, I don't really like them very much, especially for the users to tell them, you know, the data might look like this and say, oh, you have to click over here on this box and reset it that way, or you have to come up and click on this little window. So I'm going to show you some other ways that you can reset your filter. So I'm going to filter, notice how I can click on the revenue as well, and it's filtering for that whole row. So products, I'm getting my product data all the way through. So a cool thing about it is that you can actually click on the header and it will reset your filter. So again, either from my column here, my segment column, and I can reset it by clicking on the headers. So I really like that option to be able to reset it that way. I want to show next that you can set up multiple levels of element linking. So now I'm going to set up this stage table here to filter the bar chart and the detail table as well. So I'll turn on my element linking for my stage table. And in this case, I want it to filter just on stage. And I'll leave that name in there. And I want it to filter my detail table and my chart. And I'll say finish. All right, so now I can click on products and everything's filtered for that. And I can click on a stage and my chart and my detail table are both filtered by that. And again, I can reset my filter on this block by clicking on the header. And now I get all the stages back. And again, up here as well. The chart, however, the chart I can also set up as an element link. And it only has the stage object, so I'll leave all. Leave that. And on here, I'll apply it just to the detail table. So now I can click on the bar of the chart and my detail table is filtered for that particular bar. Unfortunately, there's not a clean, easy way to reset a chart. I can't click on the title and reset it. I would have to come over here and click the reset in order to get all of them back. So that is one caveat with the chart linking. However, I did want to show you, I have another tab here. So this pie chart here is also set up with element linking to filter a particular stage over here. So if I click on this purple qualified, you see my detail table is filtered for that as well. Need for Viz actually has a component that's called input control.
I think we may have lost Roxanne there for a bit.
Reset. And since this is out that I've noticed is that there's a delay. And I'm not sure if it's just that we have an earlier version of this Need for Viz component. There might be an updated one that responds faster, but here I'm going to click on negotiation and then click on reset. And it takes about 4 or 5 seconds before it does that reset. But that is one nice option that we do have. You can add this Need for Viz component for resetting your charts if you wanted to. Okay. Another curious fact that I'll mention, this little, now that I have that, if I had that and wanted to like hide this, you can't hide it. Even if I had a cell, put a blank cell here and tried to cover it up. And so I'll even put a fill in this cell and make it dark. Get rid of that border. And then I'm going to just bring it on top of that. You see how it still shows through? And it's on top. If you see the ordering. So that's one little kind of slightly annoying thing about that, that once that's there, you can't hide it. So you just have to tell people to ignore it if you had this. All right, so that's your basic element linking. Another thing I wanted to show you is how we can use it for some filtering on the report, similar to what we used to call in Excel as a label-based menu. So to have a menu up here that they can click on and it's going to filter the data. So in this case, I'm going to use product group, and actually, let me just select it here, and I'm going to select a horizontal table and drop that onto my report. And then I'm going to do some formatting on here to make it look bigger. So I'll make it font size 12 and bold and centered, and make each one of these a little bit bigger. All right, they're centered, but this still isn't big enough. All right, so now I can set this up. It looks kind of like a menu, and I can add element linking to this horizontal table. Again, it only has the one object. Next, and I'm going to have it filter both my block and my chart as well. Now when I click on internals, it filters both just for internals and network and video or peripherals. And then again, I can use my header cell to reset it. And not only that, but it doesn't need to say product group. I can rename that. So in order to do any kind of additional formatting on this, I have to disable the element linking. And then I can change this maybe to all, or all groups, all products, all product groups. You can make it total, you can make it say whatever you want. And then I'll enable this again. And when I select the filter, I can reset it with that cell again. Okay. So we like using this with the dashboard ideas. The next one I wanted to show is this linking on a variable. So on this report, I'm gonna delete that and add it again just so you can see. So I just have a table here. I'm gonna create a variable that is gonna be my ranges of revenue, and I want to be able to filter it, add that to the table. All right, so you can see in here that the revenue is falling within their proper groups. Here's the 5,000 falling in the $3,000 to $8,000 group. Okay, and now I can do the same thing by creating a horizontal table with this range. Let me get rid of this title, my report, and I'll bring in my filters here. So what I want to show in this is that, again, it doesn't matter that this isn't a universe object. It's just variable that I created in my report that is showing this data. In this case, we might call this, we could even say reset here if we want. And then I'll set up my element linking. And again, just that one object, and apply it to my block. All right, so now, one thing I forgot to do is sort it. I have my greater than 10K coming up first and my less than 1K in the middle here. So in order to fix that, let me disable this, and I'll put a custom sort on this variable. Move 10K down to the bottom and less than 1K to the top. That looks better. And then enable my linking again. Whoops. All right. There's my 3 to 8, 8 to 10, and 10K. And reset in order to get everything back. Okay, so element linking can be an object in your universe, or it can be a variable. Or we can take that concept one step further and use data that isn't even in a universe. So using Excel as a data source. So what I want to do in this case, and this concept was also used in the Mitsubishi dashboard that won the Most Valuable Dashboard Award. They had element linking set up at the top of their report, as this report does, and then they also wanted additional menus down here. So what this one does, and I'll show you how I set it up in a minute, but notice that when I click on this variable, it's changing the data, but I'm still in this same tab. I haven't switched tabs. So it's expanding on the opportunities of what you can do with a web intelligence report. Now, not only do I have 3 tabs, but one of those tabs has 2 different views within that tab. So I can group data together and really create a dense report here with a lot of information. However, the way I wanted to group my data together in this case, these were not variables that were available in my universe. And furthermore, I could create a variable that said equals opportunity analysis, but I can't get a second variable. I can't get a second value from that variable. So what I did in this case is just create an Excel spreadsheet. And that Excel spreadsheet just has 2 columns, one that says list. In fact, I'm not sure if I can find it real quick. Anyway, the query will show it here. So let me edit this query. And here's the query I brought in. So it had just 2 columns, one that I called label and the other one value. Underneath label, I typed in the words opportunity analysis, and underneath that I typed client analysis. And then beside each of those, I gave one a 1 and the other one a 2, just to have something to reference to if I needed to. That's it, just a small little table with these 2 rows and these headers, okay? I brought it in, it decided that was a measure. It's fine in this case, and so if I run with that, now I have this other data source here that has my 2 objects. And if I bring in this label here, let's see if I can drop it up here. Here's my little table. that has just those two things. Okay. However, and let me go ahead and bring in the value as well so you can see that. And I'll move this. Move it there. Okay. So I've got my objects here. And what I did in order to create this is it also needs an additional table that's being used in here because we needed to know which selection was made here. So the basic concept is that each one of these charts is using the hide and show formula. So let me open one of the charts. And you'll see here it says hide when the following formula is true. And the formula says hide when op/client equals 2. So my op client is actually a reference cell here. And that is, I hid that table. Let me come back in here and unhide it. I believe that one will be it. Yep, here we go. So this is my reference cell here. And what I did is I set this up as element linking. But in this case, the only thing that it's going to filter is this little table, which is going to end up being hidden. Okay? So it's going to filter this table. And when I make a selection on here, you see this value changes. So I put the total here. And when I switch back to opportunity and analysis, it changes to a 1. And the client analysis changes to a 2. So I saved that as a reference cell, which is here. I called op client, and it's referencing this cell. So now I can use that in the formula that's getting these charts or tables to display or hide based on when that changes. This chart is going to hide when the op client equals a 1. Okay, and all the charts on this sub-tab will hide when I switch over here to opportunity analysis. Okay, and then there was one other thing that I did. So in fact, I'll let me delete this. I'm going to first remove the linking. And then I'll keep it now because it's really just this table without the value. Okay. I set up the linking, the element linking. Next and next. And it's only going to filter. Now, this is when it's really important to name your block so you know which one you want to. So it's block 9, which I'll call hidden table. Make it easy. So let's apply this linking. My hidden table here. Say finish. All right, now if I click, oh, there it goes. I click on client analysis. It filters that table, which again runs my reference. The final thing that I wanted to show on here was that I added some conditional formatting to get the color that I wanted to show. Otherwise, it would be just like a faded gray color. So if I disable this and come to my analysis and conditional, and I'll show you the rule that I made up for that. And so in this case, it says if op client is equal to 2 and the cell contents is equal to client analysis, then show it this way. And then a second condition that says, if the cell content equals opportunity analysis and my reference cell equal to 1, then format it like this. They're both formatted the same, but it was important to specify which one is selected there. So that's why I set it up like that. And with that applied, I can have this additional color showing up on here when this is enabled. Okay. All right. So that is element linking with non-universe data. So essentially, this shows you that you can create an element link out of anything that you need. You can bring it in as an Excel file and use that list to set up your element linking and then hide your reference table here. All right. So many things you could do, very cool functionality, and I hope you'll give it a try. Let me know if there's any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Roxanne. We did have a few questions come in here. How is element linking different to the drill down option in Webi?
That's a good question, because it in this way, it does look a little bit like you're drilling. And I would call it another version, a simpler way of doing that analysis. So it's a good point. I think it's easier to do than the drilling, but also with drilling, you could actually do all the drilling in a single block. So you could drill from state down to city, down to the individual store, or drill from year to quarter to week to day, all within the same table. In this case, we have separate blocks that we're kind of drilling into the separate detail on. Okay, hopefully that answers that.
Great, yes. And then we had another question, but I'm not quite sure what it's referencing to, but it says, will it work if you remove the sales range column? Maybe you can.
Oh, okay, that's a good question. Really, I think that is in reference to this example here. So if I delete this from the report or hide it, it's going to be a little bit tricky to tell, but we'll go with our big one here. And so, yes, it still works.
Great, thank you. That's all the questions we have for now. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks so much, Roxanne. And that's a really popular topic as well. So that's been requested for a while now. So I think it's something that a lot of people don't use.
Right.
They've heard of it. They're aware of it, but until they start seeing things like, dashboards in Webi, they don't think about it and go, oh, wow, I could use that. That's cool. So thank you. Really appreciate it. Okay, back to you, Anna Laura.